Please welcome to the stage, Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, and Jon Favreau!
Good morning, Chicago! Thank you, guys. What a weekend this has been, don't you think? I mean, getting here on Friday and being able to show you the new teaser and surprises that I think we all agree, even I can't wait to see the finished movie, and I know you guys even more so. So very, very excited about that. Saturday, oh my God, walking the floor and seeing all the things that have been created and what you guys do for this celebration is absolutely astounding. So a huge applause for all of you in this room, because it's been, and outside this room, because I know there's a lot of other people watching. So I want to talk about the two people flanking me here. I've known since I stepped into this job, when George Lucas asked me to take over Lucasfilm, that Jon Favreau was a huge Star Wars fan. So when we found out that Disney Plus was going to let us make TV shows, we got so excited. And Jon sat down and pitched the idea of Mandalorian, and it was instantaneous. We were so excited that there was an opportunity to bring this to the screen. And I also have a feeling that everybody in this room knows that this guy is a rock star. And I have to say, what could be more exciting than Dave Filoni directing live action? So the fact that Jon and Dave have come together and are working together on Mandalorian, I have to tell you, this has been the most fun, the most amazing experience, and I'm gonna let the two of them start to give you a better idea of what this show is all about. And I think by the end of this discussion, you guys are gonna be as excited as I am. So I'm going to step aside and let these guys take the stage.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. All right.
So
here we go.
Dave and I met each other up at the ranch, which if we feel like you would if we were working at the ranch. And I was mixing Iron Man.
Yeah, I was making Clone Wars Season 1. Early days.
So I brought him into the Kurosawa stage and showed him, he's the first person ever to see Iron Man. And I was the first person
to see Clone Wars, you and your son, very first test audience.
That's what's fun about being up at the ranch.
We traded.
Yeah.
We traded.
And I said to him, this is awesome. If you ever need a voice, let me know.
I just happened to need a voice. That day, George had created a character named Pre Vizsla. Yeah. And I said, would you like to be a Mandalorian?
Yes, and Mandalorians were my favorite characters.
Right? Obviously.
Yeah. right? I mean, if you're going to play anything, don't you want to?
Right.
Yeah.
Just for the helmet.
So that's how we. Yes. We got Mandalorian mercs over here, right? There we go. There we go.
Wow.
So, so we started working together on that. We became friends, and we've known each other. That was
for years. Yeah.
07, something like that.
Yeah, that was a long time.
12 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And then I came in. I had been working on this idea for a long time because it was really compelling to me what happens after the celebration of the empire falling, the revolution successful, and then what happens?
Now what?
Because if you look throughout history, it's fun at first, but it gets very complicated very quickly. And so the idea of that world of after Return of the Jedi and what would happen and the type of characters that would survive and what it was like until the New Republic took over. And so you have vestiges of the Empire, you have only the strong surviving, you have chaos taking over in the galaxy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Good chaos.
Yeah.
I'm just watching them. I'm watching them like you're every word, and they're just like, I'm enjoying this very much myself personally.
And then, of course, the idea of going back to the, there's all sorts of different tones in Star Wars, but I always loved, I was the right age, so when I saw the beginning of the first Star Wars film, and the cantina, and the characters, and the smugglers, and the underworld.
Scum and villainy.
The scum and villainy.
Yeah.
That was, to me, that was a very rich environment to tell a story in a rich tone.
Yeah, I mean, and it is, and it's fun. And next year's 15 years working on Star Wars, and I've never seen it run out of stories or ideas, but this area is so unique that we're playing in, and with these type of characters. I'm trying to be very careful not to give anything away, but it is really fun. And just to say Mandalorian, when you came with a Mandalorian idea, I thought, well, that's ironic because you are a Mandalorian. And I thought, so of course you're fulfilling that need to have Mandalorian. Just the armor, designing the helmet when we sat down to do that, just tweaking a little bit.
Just looking at
so many little fun things to do.
And getting back to the roots of what inspired George originally, like the old Westerns and the samurai films, and getting back to that imagery on a scale that felt like when it began, that it was planets that were separated and each world was different, and it felt like that period of time in history that is so fertile for the samurai films, back when, around the time of Seven Samurai, where the age of the warrior was just starting to end, or post-Civil War in the Old West, when everything had to be, order had to be brought to the universe. Yeah. So, and then Mandos were always fun, and you had done so much work with Mandalorians on the Clone Wars.
A few.
And so we had talked a lot about that.
It's good. We had a lot of discussions about it in different eras. Holiday specials, that kind of thing.
Yes, the holiday special was the first.
All of that came up.
And the rifle. Could you hold up the rifle, please? Yeah, so there we go.
That's pretty good.
The holiday special rifle. So, and we wanted to bring in elements from, Star Wars has so many different groups of people that like so many different aspects of it, but the idea of creating something that would bring them all together. Yeah. And to everything from the original trilogy that I was more of a fan of and I grew up with, and the prequels, which you're turning me on to more and more as we talk.
Everything. You're a good Padawan of the knowledge, John. You're doing really well. And as I pass it on to you.
The sequels, the Clone Wars, and even pulling stuff in from Legends.
Everything.
Starting to bring some of that EU stuff back in.
Yeah. Looking at everything. Looking at everything. Yeah. It's important.
So, anyway, should we sit down and maybe
let's
introduce some? Let's introduce some.
Who knows where this will go?
Thank you. So let's start by bringing out. We have some people who made a trip here in the snow just to be here for you. Starting with Pedro Pascal. for coming up.
Good to see you. Very good, The Mandalorian. Very.
Should we bring out? Let's also bring out Gina Carano.
Very exciting. Very exciting, very exciting, very exciting.
You need a hug too.
Yeah.
And we'd like to introduce a new actor to all of you. You may not know him yet, but you definitely will. Carl Weathers. Thanks for coming out.
I want you! I want you! I want you!
All right. Well,
Oh my God.
let's find out a little bit about who they play.
Yes.
You'd like to start the?
How should we start
I
that?
don't know. Maybe introduce.
Pedro, you are the Mandalorian.
Jon, can you hear me?
What is it like to be the Mandalorian?
Well, just look at the image. That's what it's like.
Right on.
Fantasy fulfillment. That's what it's like.
Anything more? Is that all? Fantasy fulfillment? It's
hard without spoiling anything.
I know. I don't know what I can say and what I can't say. What?
They'll try to deceive you into telling them everything.
Right, exactly.
You must not give in to this.
That's why I just want to point at pictures and be like, there.
We could say he's a bounty hunter and a gunfighter.
Yes,
and a
yes,
hired
yes,
gun, yeah.
yes. He said, what's it like being the Mandalorian,
Oh, what's it
not
like?
what is the Mandalorian.
Oh, okay.
Well, I just meant you personally to keep you out of trouble.
The Mandalorian is a mysterious, lone gunfighter in the outer reaches of the galaxy.
Yes.
I would say his, some might say he has questionable moral character.
Interesting.
Which is in line with some of our best westerns and
Very good. Yes, you're doing great.
some good samurai.
You're doing great.
You know, all the best, all the good stuff.
All the good stuff.
And he's a badass.
He is. I don't know. I won't be in trouble if you say the wrong thing for once. So I'm really enjoying this.
I think that these incredibly talented men who also love Star Wars very much have created an incredible, iconic character that I get to play.
Very good.
And now we have Gina Carano, who plays a character, yes. A character named Cara Dune. Cara Dune. Let's tell us a little bit about the character that you play, Gina.
Okay, so nice to see everyone here. I had no idea it was going to be this big, so. I have to say, when I got this job, I instantly was like, oh my gosh, I get to be a part of a whole nother family. Like, I feel like certain Italians have embraced me, MMA community embraced me. I'm kind of an actress now, so now I'm a part of this family, and this is absolutely kick-ass, so I'm so glad to be here. So my character's name is Cara Dune, and she's an ex-rebel shock trooper. Who's, I know, not what you were reading online. I was watching all of you. I was like, do they know who I am? No, they don't. And basically, since it's such a secret thing, I've never been a part of something so secret. I can't tell you that much, but I'm a bit of a loner, which isn't a far stretch. And I'm learning how to have a bit of trouble reintegrating myself into society. So I was blessed to work with such amazing people and have such amazing direction. And I don't think I've done a better job than I did on this show. So I'm really excited.
Well done.
And playing the character of Grief Karga is Mr. Carl Weathers. Carl?
Yeah. Wow. Well, first, I'm really happy to be here. It's like amazingly exciting day of all the things I've been involved in. Oh, I love you too. Okay. Of all the things I've been involved with, I don't think anything has come close to this. This is insane. Okay. This group of fans is just like something out of Star Wars, actually. Is that crazy? But anyway, the character is Grief Marga. Yes. And he is a guy who is running this group of bounty hunters. He's kind of the head of this guild of bounty hunters. And, okay. And, you know, he's a guy who, there seems to be a lot of kind of nefarious people, even if they're good people, they're kind of nefarious sides to them, right? So he's looking for someone to go after a product that he wants to bring to a client that's worth a lot and that's very valuable. And guess who he finds? He finds a bounty hunter named Mandalorian. And the Mando is a guy that he figures can get the job done, so he hires this guy, sends him out there, and the Mando does what needs to be done.
So some of you may have heard that we had put together a little piece of footage for... And we wanted to make sure that all of you got to see what we're up to. So live streamers, there's going to be a little bit of a blackout coming up, but we'll be back with you in a few minutes, and let's roll some footage. All right, we're gonna leave and go finish. We gotta finish that.
Lots to do.
We gotta get out of here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Oh, I was just reminded, please don't video any of that. I was supposed to say it beforehand.
You knew that when Dave gets nervous, he doodles, and it's all really excellent doodles of Star Wars stuff. I just find that interesting. I look to my right, and it's like the Mandalorian helmet right there in perfection.
So that's when I was nervous.
So,
I'll shut up.
No, just kidding.
so you got a glimpse of our great group of directors, and the primary prerequisite that they had to be a fan of Star Wars and love Star Wars. And they did. And everybody was from a different perspective, different generation, and that's what we want to do here. We love to pull all the stories together. And so for the people who've been fans for 40 years, we got a lot in there for you. But these are new characters and new stories, so it's a great way to invite new people in and allow them to get on the merry-go-round here with all these new characters too. So much like we did with Marvel with Iron Man, it's like let's make it something that people could jump in on who don't know anything about Star Wars and enjoy. But if you've been a fan, there's a lot of care that has gone into all the details. So we can't wait to share all of it with you because I think you'll really like what we're doing here. Great. And any reaction? Have you seen that before? Any of you? No, this is the first time. You saw it. Rehearsal. You saw it. Any reaction to that? Are we?
How can you not react to that, John? I mean, come on. You know what's beautiful about it? It's beautiful hearing the fans react to it. Right? Right? I mean, first of all, the fact that you came up with this, made it happen, and then you managed to get Dave on team as well. How lucky can we be sitting here to be a part of this? So thank you to John, to Dave, and thank you to all the fans who showed up for this.
And speaking of the fans, so we're making the show, and we're starting to bring in vestiges of the Empire. And we had done some planning, and there was a scene where we needed stormtroopers, and we had our production meeting, and we realized after seeing the set we didn't have enough stormtroopers to make the impact. You never can have enough stormtroopers.
Never.
And so we're in the production meeting, and there were only so many stormtrooper uniforms that we had, and we were concerned that it was not going to do the trick for the storytelling. Yeah. And so...
But I know a bunch of stormtroopers.
And so,
we hatched the plan.
We hatched the plan. I'm like, has the 501st ever been actually on camera for?
No.
I know that they've been used by Lucasfilm and they've participated in events. So talk about how it went down, because this is kind of a cool story.
An interesting thing, but I think it was like late on a Thursday, early on a Friday, where we put a call out. We needed a bunch of stormtroopers. And of course, we know people that know people that know people, and we called the stormtroopers, and they're like, "What for?" And we're like, "Just come down." And they came down a whole bunch, like out of nowhere. And the thing that I know about, the thing that you know about Star Wars fans is that, in all honesty, a lot of the costumes you guys make are even better than what was used on screen at certain points. So I had no worry that it would hold up, and it sure held up. And amazingly, as much as their armor is so accurate, they look like stormtroopers, they act like stormtroopers.
Yes.
They know.
Because we were directing people of how I mean, Dave, how do they hold their gun? Like, what do we do?
They know what to do.
And they knew what to do. This group showed up. But what was so funny is how surprised some of them looked, because I didn't realize they weren't told what it was for.
Yes. Well, yes.
So what did they assume? What do you usually use the 501st for?
It could be any number of events where we need stormtroopers, which Lucasfilm does a lot. It's some kind of a function where we have a panel or something like this, like celebration. It's not normally you show up on a planet where there's a Mandalorian and you get involved with that. That was new. And then we realized too, everything we rolled out in front of them was like almost a test audience.
Yes.
And we would sit there and watch as something rolled out. We're like, oh, they seem to like that. So that was fascinating.
And they were so polite and so nice and kept all the secrets. It was great. It was so much fun. So that was one. And now that we took that picture, we said they couldn't have it, but now we could get them copies.
They could get the
picture.
copy. And you guys met the stormtroopers. What did you guys think of the many stormtroopers you met?
Well, I was just surprised that they all made their own uniforms
Yeah.
and they were all so spot on. And it was, at first I didn't even know. I was like, oh, okay, you know, hired actors. And they're like, no, these people are legit. I'm like, oh, shit.
And what was really crazy about it was they worked really hard. I mean, they didn't mess around.
All day.
They were on point the entire time they were there each day. So it was so cool. And I wound up learning stuff from watching these guys, and women, by the way. And it was it was beyond cool.
I think the interesting thing too is that, like, as a fan, one of the things you always want, the dream for me was if you could have something screen used. But the minute they left that day, all their armor was screen used. So that was pretty cool too.
Right.
That was pretty cool. I liked that.
So we were part of what we did is it's the first time we ever have filmed Star Wars in Los Angeles, and I think even in the United States. And so part of what made that possible was a lot of new cutting-edge technology using stuff that I've learned from Iron Man, Jungle Book, even Lion King about game engine. Thank you. Using all this new cutting-edge game engine technology, video walls, VR for planning. But Star Wars at its core has to feel handmade and like a practical show. And so we have a lot of audio animatronics and puppetry, all the techniques that were used from the beginning. And so what was interesting was when we were starting to plan, the name of the ship is the Razor Crest that the Mandalorian flies around in. And it's this really cool, I think you saw some pictures of it in that reel. It's sort of like a reflective silver old Army surplus gunship. And then I started saying, well, maybe we should just make a miniature just for lighting reference.
For your desk, yeah.
For my desk. I wanted
Yeah, for your desk.
the trick I learned from Guillermo del Toro. Make sure you build practical props, that way you could have it for your house later. Because he's got nothing from Clone Wars. Right?
It's true. I mean, I can 3D print something. I can 3D print, and I have many friends. The most valuable thing in the galaxy, so there's that.
But you can't hang a QuickTime up in your office.
Not easily.
Right. Well, then we started to talk about, well, maybe let's try to do a shot with a miniature like they used to do with the motion control rig. Mm-hmm. And then you're not the only Star Wars fans. Up at ILM, there's a lot of Star Wars fans too, and people started coming out of the woodwork when they heard that we were doing this. And why don't you want to talk about what happened?
Building a model? What do you mean they're building a model? And we'd be in meetings, and we'd be discussing it, and then you'd look at the meeting, because I'd be down in Long Beach where we were making the thing, and we'd look at on the camera and we'd see like more people in the meeting than normal.
Playa Vista.
Playa Vista, yeah. And then we would see like, there's Hal Hickles in the meeting now, and John Knoll's sitting in the meeting now, and what are they interested in? And we start to talk about the process of building a model, and there was a lot of interest about that. And then we start hearing that John's making something in his garage, and
yes,
it's hard to imagine.
It was like the Star Wars club at a high school.
Yeah, it really was.
And so we up at ILM, they shot some behind-the-scenes footage of what's going on up there, and we'll kind of talk you through it. Do you want to roll that? This is something you can.
Yeah.
Not as secret.
Because you have to see it.
Yeah, you can see this. So we'll roll this while we're in here. Maybe we'll dim the lights a little bit. And this is just something they put together and sent. We figured we'd show it to you. So here's, you want to talk them through?
Yeah, that is Doug Chang and Ryan Church designing the Razor Crest. And we do have some CG models that we'll do, but like John said, it's a part of a process. You can see what there's the one for your desk that we talked about earlier. There's Landis 3D printing pieces. So we were able to 3D print, but those pieces are based on kit bashing. And it's John Goodson, who's built many, many models for ILM over the years, and he's actually building the physical Razor Crest, old school, doing the LEDs for the engines, yeah. And I think this is John in his garage tooling the motion control device, because who can't do that in their garage? And there's what they built in their garages, literally in their garage studios. The ILM guys built, look, John's laughing because he knows it's ridiculous. And he's building this model, oh, look there, the AT-AT or AT-AT, I'm not gonna debate you. And look there, he's like a lens crafter making these pieces, all him and Hal Hickel. Hal actually went and researched all 3 of the old Star Wars films and figured out all the flight paths and the types of shots that they did.
And the way the star fields would shift and move, and so here's us shooting passes on the stage. So here's how you get the key, and you'll see this is done. Isn't that cool?
It already feels like Luke's X-Wing, right? Right?
And so they're letting us do this for some reason. Because whenever I've worked on something, they're always like, you can't shoot a model, there's the key. And instead of doing it as an optical printed, we're using digital. But you can see the room there. And it really reminds us of the old behind the scenes footage. It's just fun for us.
Yeah, they're all down in the basement shooting that up at ILM. And they're all gathered around and evidently having a great time. It's really funny.
And here come the engine passes.
Yeah,
here.
you can see they're off on the
Coming
side.
Up. They have to do for each lighting setup, and they comp it together. Yeah. And hold on, there's a couple more. These are the.
It's a long process.
So it's fun for us. We like it.
This is what we really do.
Here come the engines.
I know, right?
Oh, come on.
That's the better one.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's so cool. So anyway, we're putting all that together, and we're having a really good time.
This is really cool.
Most people won't even know, but we knew you'd appreciate that, so we showed you.
Exactly.
So let's see. Is there anything else? Well, we have some Twitter questions that came in.
Yeah, we can
right?
do that.
We were asked to submit questions for us from Twitter, and we're going to read some up on the board here. You could flash them. Let's see. Indiana Jedi, is that it?
At Indiana Jedi.
At Indiana Jedi. Did you guys ever discuss Mandalorian history while working on the Clone Wars together? Yes.
Yes.
We did a lot.
Quite a bit.
You wanna?
In fact, there was some Mandalorian history created, quite a bit on Clone Wars, but around your character, we used to have pre-Vizsla fighting with a vibro blade weapon in Clone Wars, and when George saw it, he said no. A lightsaber would cut that thing right in half. And I said, oh, that's a problem, because we've already staged the whole thing. And he's like, well, we'll have to figure something out. And then he called me later that day, because he'd been dwelling on it so much, and said, I've created something, it's called the Dark Saber, and we're going to give it to pre-Vizsla. And so you got this
I got to
really
wield
cool
the Dark
weapon
Saber
and this
in
really
Clone
long
Wars.
speech.
And I had to do a whole speech about how I found it in a Jedi temple and all this stuff. It was super cool. So we had talked a lot about the Jedi history, Jedi and Mandalorian history. And also, where are the Mandalorians during the original trilogy, and even in the prequels? So we had a lot of conversations, and so now we're coloring in the missing tiles there.
Yeah.
So we talked about that a lot, and it's fun. They're a fun group. Next question.
What is this?
John, who did you look for? Who did you look to for guidance when creating the series? Well, I mean, first and foremost, Dave, because he was my Sherpa. And I get very excited when after I pitched to Kathy, and I've been talking to Kathy for many years about doing a story, and I started writing them. And by the time, before I even had a deal done, I had 4 written, because I wanted to make sure that they wanted to make the same show I did. Because what I didn't want to do was get into a situation where we had different ideas, and I didn't want to be developing. I would rather write it and then not buy it. And I would show them to Dave.
Yes.
Because we had been paired up.
Sadly, though.
It was a little sad.
Over Christmas.
He said the saddest thing was I saw one of your scripts came in, the date was Christmas on the
25th is when he wrote it. And I thought, wow, you're really not doing anything. Like, staying at home and writing this. And then I was, it was Christmas. It was the only time to take off. So it'd been like 2 days. I saw the email. I'm like, cool, I'll get around to that. And 2 days had gone by. I get a text. He's like, I've knit socks faster than you've read this script. And he sent me a photo of him wearing Boba Fett socks. And I was like, okay, I'll read this script.
But I don't know.
And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
When for me, writing doesn't come easily. So when I'm on a tear and I could go, I just go at it.
Yes.
And I don't stop till the ideas stop. And so I was having a great time writing this. And then eventually we started collaborating more.
Yeah.
Dave wrote one of them as well.
I did.
And
We'll see how that goes.
So, and also George, by the way, George came by.
He came by the set, yes.
Yeah, George Lucas.
He did.
He visited because, of course, he and Dave go way back. And
We do, a little bit.
And it's very interesting watching the two of them talk about, because George would throw out some historical facts and Dave would remind him that maybe he remembers a different account of certain things. And it's watching two, it was very interesting.
I am the Padawan to this day, but it was a huge thrill for me to have him there because I don't think I ever would have considered doing live action without his teachings and his guidance. He really got me interested in it. And so when he came by, that was a real thrill for me personally.
He was extremely proud when I was talking to George without Dave there because they had been working together for so long, and Dave was just starting out in that position and had really grown as a storyteller and writer, and really had absorbed all those lessons. And then to even have George, who really I started my curiosity about Joseph Campbell and the writers, the hero's journey, and the monomyth through watching his films and The Power of Myth with Joseph Campbell shot at the Skywalker Ranch when I was young. It would really influenced me tremendously. And to be able to talk with George about these things, and he's really an expert in such matters. And so it was great to hear it right from him. And so it just felt really good and fun and like it was about the human connection too. And learning not just about what makes a show good, but life lessons. And it's been really nice also being able to work with, as I've been learning from him, for me to try to teach him what I've learned in live action. And us coming together has been a really wonderful partnership. And Kathy was really smart and thoughtful to get us together, because I don't think the show would have been nearly what it is without our collaboration. So thank you.
Thank you. Fun. See, I bet you guys didn't know a lot of that, did you? This is all behind the scenes as well for you.
Just taking it all in.
Taking it all in. Can you believe it?
No, barely.
Well,
Let's see if
when
there's
you
one
guys
for them.
came down, it really definitely trickled down, all that passion. There's a bunch of times Jon Favreau would come to set, and before a scene, he would literally well up with tears and explaining how much this scene meant, and it just trickled in. All this passion has trickled down into, you really felt like you were a part of something special. Everybody from lighting to, production to everybody in every department. We'd be there for 17-hour days sometimes, right, girl? And we just look at each other and we're like, yeah, but we're working on Star Wars right now, so you want to keep us longer? Because this is worth it. And it just had magic, yeah. It had a lot of magic. And believe me, it's moving forward, that's all I want to work on is people, big or small, people who are passionate about what they're doing, and these guys are the most passionate. There's so much heart, and then we go to Dave, and I'd be like, yo, what's up with this blaster? What do we do here? And he would just be like, well, and he'd give me a whole history. It was like having the encyclopedia of Star Wars right there. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Is this okay? Is this, it was just kind of it was incredible. So it felt like magic. Thank you.
The only person who wasn't having fun was Gina's stunt double. Because they didn't get to work at all, or very little, because Gina is a gamer. Gina would be doing stuff. So how it usually would go down is, I do a lot of writing. I would come down to the set and we would plan it. We would do rehearsal. We would shoot the master. At a certain point, I have to leave for a few hours to do visual effects approvals and animation for Lion King, which is still working at the same time as this. And then I would come back for coverage, finish the day up, and the directors would be on set, and I'd show up Carl would be wearing a squib and doing his own stunt and flying off of a thing, and Gina would be jumping off of a counter and flopping on her back. I'm like, what's going on here? You can't let, these are our stars.
Try to stop them.
You can't do this. But they were, both of them, I mean, I think it's the physicality in that makes it, it comes across on the screen. And I remember Gina there's a part where she has to carry off a wounded character and lifted them up. And drag them off the battlefield, and I was
and
like,
everybody kept on coming up to me and they're like, "Oh, did they put a dummy in there? Like, is it like a fake?" And I'm like, "No, this is a whole human that I am." Like, and they're like, "And another one, and now we're going in close." And I'm like, "Again? Okay. I've been doing my squats, so this is good."
and as you know, she's good with her hands too when you get in close range, and that was really fun. What other works did you take inspiration from when making the show? Talked about it, the old westerns. We looked at a lot of old western samurai movies. Anything else, Dave, that we?
That was the main, I mean, besides you and the holiday special.
The holiday special. And what was the other one? Caravan of Courage, too, we looked at.
Yes. Yeah,
Caravan of Courage.
That came out of nowhere.
We got love from everywhere. Who did you draw, Pedro, who did you draw inspiration from for the character of the Mandalorian? We've talked about this a bit.
He's got a lot of Clint Eastwood in him. And to be honest with you, I called John directly and was like, "What do you want me to watch? What do you want me to absorb? What do you want me to take in for this?" And it was a lot of Sergio Leone, Akira Kurosawa.
Kurosawa, yeah.
Very highbrow. And it was an incredible thing, because just to give my little tidbit, when John asked me to come and meet with him about something Star Wars, literally something Star Wars, and they invited me into the room, and Dave was there, and it was wall-to-wall story illustrations of this series. You wouldn't believe what I was seeing. I was born in '75, so I am a product of a Star Wars imagination. I was shaped by these movies, and I'm seeing all of this. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? Who am I gonna, who do you want me to audition for? The bug? Or the robot? And he's like, you're the Mandalorian. So you, in terms of inspiration, I was like, John, what do you want me to? What do you want me to read? What do you want to watch? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?
It's really, yeah. It's been great. You all have. Are there any other? In what way is the Mandalorian going to be different from anything we've seen so far in Star Wars? Dave, you want to take this?
That's a tricky one where I could go wrong and say the wrong thing, give you too much information, and it's gonna. I mean, it's going to be different in that it's starring a Mandalorian, and
I think
we've never seen
that's
that.
acceptable.
The first live.
Thank
you. That's very
that's
good.
right. First live action.
Where are your notes?
Not the first television, as we mentioned. There was Caravan of Courage.
Yeah.
And the holiday special.
On Disney Plus, it's the first, so we got that going for us.
We were going to do that.
Let me take over.
You do it. Thank you.
How is it different from what we've seen in Star Wars? It's the very first live-action Star Wars series to ever exist.
Yes. Yes.
Nailed it.
From a certain point of view. Yes.
It's no cartoon. It's no holiday
Careful there. Careful there.
You got to be careful.
Careful. Interesting.
You know what I mean.
Interesting.
Boba Fett started as a cartoon character.
Interesting.
Now listen, you all got those tickets, right? You still have them?
Yeah.
Could you put up on the screen what the giveaway that they're going to get when they go to the place? There we go. It's a new poster. There it is.
That's nice. You get one. You get one.
So we've been live streaming this, and let's take this opportunity to say goodbye to everybody who's been joining us live stream. Thank you so much, everybody. Look out for The Mandalorian coming to Disney Plus.
Disney Plus?
Disney Plus, November 12th?
I think so.
November 12th.
So you know.
Thank you, everybody watching at home.
That's it. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.